Welcome to The Fulcrum Point, the podcast that's all about Catholic education in Western Washington and the impact it is having on so many families and so many communities. The show is brought to you by the Fulcrum Foundation, and I'm your host, Brian Callanan. In this episode, we're going to focus on one of the hallmarks of Catholic education, helping students understand the importance of service, serving others in need. We're going to learn how the Office for Catholic Schools is connecting with students, putting faith into action with service projects all across Western Washington. We're also going to hear from a high school in the Archdiocese that's inspiring students to work with each other to serve their communities and become the leaders of tomorrow. It's a message we are all trying to hold on to as we celebrate a Christmas season full of giving and a new year of possibilities ahead. So we're opening up a gift on this episode, the gift of serving others. That's next on The Fulcrum Point.
Fulcrum is delighted to announce Joe and Lucy Edmonds as the 2026 recipients of the Archbishop's Award. This prestigious honor recognizes individuals whose lives reflect extraordinary commitment to Catholic education, faithful service to the Church, and enduring leadership rooted in generosity and humility. The Fulcrum Foundation's recognition of Joe and Lucy will take place at the Celebration of Light on Friday, January 30th, 2026, in downtown Seattle. For more information, visit fulcrumfoundation.org.
Well, let's start things off with Connor Garrity, who's an assistant superintendent for the Office for Catholic Schools here in Western Washington for Mission and Catholic Identity. Connor, thanks a lot for being here.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you, Brian.
Can you help us understand what you do? Because I've looked around a little bit, and not every Catholic school system has a specific role like yours. What's your job all about?
Well, we're very blessed in the Archdiocese of Seattle. In our Catholic Schools office, we have leadership positions that are structured by area of expertise, or domain as we call them. Mm-hmm. So we have our superintendent and then assistant superintendents and directors.
Okay.
And so I am one of the assistant superintendents. And as principal, I'd say my wheelhouse and my favorite domain was mission and Catholic identity. So it kind of makes sense that I'm in this role now. And in this role, I help to support our principals and then also different cohorts of leaders throughout the schools, particularly religion teachers. I've started a group for campus ministers in high schools that I'm excited about, and then inclusion directors and inclusion specialists as well. So all of these areas where our schools express and live their Catholic identity and their faith formation is really the largest bucket that I focus on.
Wow.
So again, I'm very blessed to do this work and work with all of our schools.
Absolutely. And I wanted to talk about a program you've been working on called the Missionary Discipleship Institute. This is something that's aimed at middle school students in Western Washington. And Connor, I'm remembering my years in middle school. It's not like they made me repeat 7th and 8th grade, but it sure felt like it. It's just such a challenging age for students growing up. I remember this with my own kids too. Why are you trying to reach out to this age group in particular? What message are you trying to get through to them?
So we looked at data that showed just the struggles that you speak to and questioning your identity, your faith. And we looked at an age of disaffiliation of about 12 to 13 years old.
Disaffiliation meaning?
From the Catholic faith.
I see.
So students that are questioning and then just kind of going through the motion or not living their faith or not believing to the degree that, of course, we would like as Catholic leaders in Catholic schools. So we developed a program in a connection with Mary Knoll, Fathers and Brothers, and it focuses on allowing our students to have this lived experience of our faith, where our students are learning about who is on the margins in their society and how these folks are their neighbors.
Yeah.
And they have needs that aren't being met, and they're suffering.
Faith is a difficult thing to define, but it sounds like you're just making it more tangible for these students.
Yes, tangible and applicable in their life to the extent where they feel that they can have an experience of affecting change in their society through the service that they do. So it's a faith in action program that focuses on encounter, disturbance, and response.
Yeah.
And it begins with an immersion experience
Okay.
with one of our Catholic community service partners throughout the region. And there's different ones that schools can choose.
Yeah.
And so students are immersed in serving the marginalized.
Okay.
And seeing the needs and meeting those folks and learning about the organizations that are serving them and supporting them.
Some examples of the people that are needing help here that you're talking about?
So the St. Vincent de Paul Society is one of the organizations, Catholic Community Services, and especially the housing
Yeah.
needs that are being served through Catholic Community Services.
Massive issue in our region. Yes.
Yeah. And then St. James Cathedral, their outreach ministry, has been another one of many partners. And that has been a really transformative experience for our students who go there and serve at the Memory Hub, which is nearby, and then the Wheel Women's Shelter. And so through this, our students see what the needs are in the community. And as they go through the year, they reflect on what they've learned, how they can be Christ to others through service, and then they propose their own school and class service project.
Yeah.
And a lot of them go back to this immersion and the need and, the Catholic social teaching that was addressed through the immersion, and then come up with a class-based project through that. So it's student-centered, and because of that, it's engaging and really transformative for their faith at a critical age.
Can you explain what Catholic social teaching is all about here for people who might not be aware of it? Tell me about what that means.
Yeah, so Catholic social teaching is a doctrine of our faith that focuses on how we are living and enacting our faith and following the example of Jesus and the disciples through how we live in society.
Okay.
And so a couple of Catholic social teaching elements and areas that I think are most connected to the Missionary Discipleship Institute have to do with the preferential option for the poor. So that's one element of Catholic social teaching, the dignity of the human person, and then also care for creation.
Okay.
So a lot of the service projects that the students create really correlate to those three.
Got it.
And then another area is looking at women's equity.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of projects for the 7th grade students last year were focused on women's equity issues.
I did want to talk to you about how these different projects are having an impact. It's certainly not just within a school community. It's in a larger community too. And I wondered if you could speak to that.
Yeah, some of the projects are locally based and some have an international focus. We had a school last year that provided education for a girl in Kenya.
Oh, wow.
To allow her to continue her Catholic education through a connection they had with a missionary there. The Maryknoll Sisters in Tanzania also received some funding and some support from the students. And so it's a local awareness that leads to a global awareness as well. And in looking at some of the reflections on the year, students talked about the need to continue this as they keep going through their education as 8th graders, but also through high school.
Yeah.
And parents have shown that as well because parents partner in some of these service projects. And so I just think that transformation of saying it's not just part of a class, it's who we are as Catholics to serve others is part of the transformation.
It reminds me so much of something that we were talking about just a few months ago. Awful situation at a Annunciation Catholic school in Minneapolis where they had that shooting. A few were killed there in that all-school mass. And I remember talking to a few people about that, and including the principal out there, Matt DeBoer, who used to be right here in Western Washington at St. Therese Catholic Academy there. He was so concerned about this idea of seeing prayer in action, praying with your feet, as he brought it up there. I feel like this is part of that ethic, too. Can you touch on that theme? Because I think it's an important one.
Yeah, Matt DeBoer in the press conference after the shooting bravely stood there in front of the politicians and the leaders of his community and spoke to that African proverb of, when you pray, you move your feet. And that resonated with our archdiocese so much that several of us got together and said, how can we be in solidarity with Annunciation throughout the archdiocese? So we have established the Move Your Feet campaign, and it's a year-long service campaign in our schools for our schools to work together in terms of what those local needs are and how we can be in solidarity with Annunciation by thinking of others and serving others. So each school is conducting a different service project. We're collecting pictures and testimonials of that. And then Kelly Serpanini, one of our assistant superintendents in the Archdiocese of Seattle, is actually going to see Matt at the NCEA conference.
The National Catholic Education Association, right.
And that's in Minneapolis this spring, and she's going to bring that to him. So we're journeying along with him and praying for him and doing service in memory of the school right now.
And in terms of the impact, we're talking about literally thousands of service hours here. Can you touch on that piece of it here?
Yeah, so last year we had the season of service. So that was our annual focus for last year. And really the focus was throughout the whole Archdiocese of Seattle in celebration of the 175th year of the Archdiocese of Seattle. For that anniversary, we wanted to celebrate that by conducting 175,000 hours of service through schools, parishes, individuals, all together, Catholics in the Archdiocese. So the goal was 175. We got to 317,000 hours, and 138,000 hours were from schools. These were, traditional service projects or service hours that schools connect, but also new initiatives and projects too. So it really was an opportunity for us to lean into our faith, practice our faith, live our faith, and in solidarity with all of the Catholics in the Archdiocese, we really surpassed that goal, which was really rewarding.
That's amazing. I did want to make sure I wrapped up with you by asking this, just talking about the impact you're hoping this work to serve others has on kids. And I'm not saying that you and I are getting too old for this by any stretch, Connor, but it's the situation where I think you've got this next generation of leaders. You're really working on inspiring them. Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah. We're inspiring them to understand that faith in relationship with others, through compassion to others, and through wise stewardship, to give back and serve others. We have built in the culminating project for the Missionary Discipleship Institute, this response project. We have built in a grant-based system through partnership, through a grant we received from the St. Joseph Foundation for schools to each receive $1,000 to help leverage their impact that they're making and giving back to their communities. And it's really interesting to see seventh graders create grants and go through that process.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And I think that's helpful for them. So I think there's some teaching there too about stewardship. But the ultimate result and goal here is this is how we live our faith. This is how we follow the example of Jesus. The whole MDI program is based on this idea that Jesus loves us and how we receive that love, but then we give it back to others through community, through service, through love and action. And that's what this program is all about.
Thank you so much. That's Connor Garrity, Assistant Superintendent for the Office for Catholic Schools for Mission and Catholic Identity. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Brian.
Coming up, a look inside a local high school that's taken its mission to help others far beyond a service hours requirement. We'll be learning more about something called the SPIN program. That's next on The Fulcrum Point.
Searching for a school combining faith, academic excellence, and a strong sense of community? Archbishop Murphy High School offers a 100% graduation rate and a college prep program that sets students up for success. And we're proud to be home of the undefeated 2A football state champions, proof of the talent, teamwork, and character we build every day. With robust athletics, arts, and co-curricular activities, Archbishop Murphy prepares students for more than college. We prepare them for life. Join us for our open house on Sunday, January 11th at 11:30 a.m. Learn more and schedule your visit today at am-hs.org. Archbishop Murphy High School, where your story begins.
I'm joined now by Eliana Lucas, who is Director of Campus Ministry and Theology at Archbishop Murphy High School in Everett. Eliana, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
I want to talk about this concept of service because it's really woven into what your school is all about. You have this SPIN program, Serving People in Need is the acronym there, with a yearly requirement of 25 service hours from students. But in talking to you before this show, and really just understanding this concept of serving others and what it means to you, it is so much deeper than an obligation to graduate. Can you talk to me about that? Because I know this means a lot to you, Eliana.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is really, I think, the heart of what it means to be a Catholic school, truthfully, is being in the world and serving the community. And for us, this is really part of our mission. We have this line at the kind of end of our mission that says that we want to build Christ-like leaders for the transformation of the world. And I think service is an incredibly integral part of that process, is getting our students out into the world and meeting the world where there is need. And so whatever that looks like for our students, that's one of my joys, is getting to kind of walk alongside them in that and help them find opportunities that really fit their interests and the things that they're wanting to do in their future.
Yeah. And there was another part of that mission statement that jumped out at me too. The first part of it that says, this is a private Catholic college preparatory school that welcomes students of all faiths. And I think that's an important piece of this too. Yes, we are talking about Catholic social teachings here. We're talking about Catholic schools doing this work, but the impact you're having really goes far beyond that. Can you touch on that piece too?
Absolutely. I think just like good people are needed in this world. And I think part of that is the service to others. Part of that is, how are you willing to step outside of your comfort zone? Are you willing to meet someone else in their need and kind of the darkness that they might be experiencing? And how can you bring light to those who need it?
Got it. Tell me a little bit more about how this whole spin process works here. You're connecting students with service opportunities. What does that look like?
Yeah, so we ask our students to serve at nonprofit organizations, but really our students can serve in a variety of different ways. And the kind of serving people in need, whether that be the elderly or those who are unhoused and experiencing homelessness, those who are sick, those who are youth, for instance, just any variety of ways really where our students can be of service to those who really do need it, so those on the margins. And we just want our students to kind of choose opportunities that make sense for them. We do what we call our Spin Service Fair at the beginning of every year, and we invite different organizations to come and be on campus and talk to our students about the work that they're doing, so our students can see the good work that is already being done and how they can be of service to those organizations.
Got it. And then seniors end up organizing these service projects. Can you talk to me about how a student goes through here at Archbishop Murphy and how this commitment of service changes over their time here?
Absolutely. So they have to do 25 hours of service every year. And ideally, the hope is that they kind of find something of interest to them as they continue. So maybe they'll try a few different organizations their freshman and sophomore years, but then hopefully by their junior and senior year, they've kind of figured out, one or two organizations that they really feel passionate about serving with. And then their senior year, as part of the spring semester, as within our Catholic social teaching course, actually, they will develop and create and facilitate a service opportunity that fellow students can participate in. So the idea is that they will reach out to the organization and they will ask them, what can we do to help you? What do you need help with? And then they'll kind of build this opportunity that then freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and even other seniors can participate in.
Why is it important for seniors to be doing that? It feels like there's an extra leadership piece there that we're talking to.
Absolutely. I think the idea is that this course kind of prepares them to be in the world. And they're about to leave Archbishop Murphy. They're about to go beyond these walls and be kind of members of society in a very independent way. And so giving them this opportunity for leadership, giving them this opportunity to kind of take charge in creating something that others get to be a part of is just one of those ways we're kind of hoping to help them make that transition into the broader society as active members of the community.
And let me know what kind of impact these projects are having. We talked about some of the thousands of hours that have been put in around the Archdiocese. I know Archbishop Murphy is doing that too, and I wondered if you might be able to touch on that, because that's pretty impressive what your students have been able to do here.
Absolutely, yeah. So last year, our students combined had over 16,000 hours done.
Wow.
Actually, 16,893 hours
Okay.
were done,
Yeah.
which is really awesome. And I think the work that they're doing, we hear nothing but positive feedback from the organizations that our students serve with. It's always, we are so blessed to have your students helping us with the work that we're doing. And that really means a lot to me. Just knowing that our students are actively being that change in the world, and we're getting that feedback. And also I'll hear sometimes from students themselves just saying, I really enjoyed that experience. And that is also a real highlight for me, to know that it's not just a graduation requirement, something that they have to tick off on that checklist, but something that actually means something to them as well.
Yeah, and I saw in the reports on this too, the actual value of the hours, if you wanted to count them all, we're talking more than $500,000 worth of work there. And that's a really big impact on the community too.
It's massive, knowing that the work that our students are doing is not just in that, whether it be physical labor or that stuff, but there is an economic value to the work that they're doing. So it's incredibly important in a number of ways.
Yeah, I was bringing this up earlier when I was talking with Connor Garrity about this from the Office for Catholic Schools, but just this idea that it's not just helping out a Catholic school community, it's helping out a larger community.
Yeah, that is what I hope our service program is, really, is that we want to be people for the community, not just for our own small community here at Archbishop Murphy. We really want to be active members in the broader community and showcase what it means to be Catholic, what it means to be Christian. And we really want to accept anyone of any race, any religion. It's likewise in the people that we're serving, that there is no level of caring who it is that we're serving except for their human dignity, and that they are a child of God, and we want to be ministering to them.
Yeah, it's this kind of small c Catholicism.
Yes.
I've talked about this on this podcast before. It's a word that means universal. I think you're trying to reach out to so many different people here. I did want to make sure I touched on this issue with you too, Eliana. I think that education is a two-way street. I know that when I have taught something to someone, if I've really made a good connection, that I've learned something in return here. What have you learned in your work to inspire students towards service?
I think I've just learned that it is, I guess, the willingness that our young people have. I think sometimes our young people aren't looked at within the best light all the times.
Kids
But
today,
I
I
get to see,
tell you.
I know,
Right.
There's always something. But I really get to see the goodness in our students. I really am reminded again and again of the good hands that we're in. Like this generation, these young people are really working towards change for everyone. And that is such a positive. And so that is just something that kind of keeps me going in my work. It's just that constant reminder of the goodness of these students and their willingness to be there for those in need.
I need to ask this last question here. What is it like to see a student grow in this mission of service over their time at Archbishop Murphy? Because I have to think that you've got one kid maybe coming to freshman year saying, oh, man, I got to do these service hours. And then by the end, they're really dedicated to a project that means a lot. Do you have any examples of that you can think of?
I've had those students before in the way that it has really just reaffirmed for me the importance of service. I think we always get the grumbling and there's always it's a lot of work on the back end to track the hours and make sure that everything is good. And sometimes it's like, why are we doing this? Mm-hmm. Is it really worth it? But it's those students that reaffirm for me that yes, this is absolutely worth it, because this is, for some people, a combination of, this is their vocation. This is where their gifts and talents are meeting the needs of the world. And that's a beautiful thing. And that they are willing to make that choice and say, this is what I want to do with my life. That's a beautiful thing.
Thank you so much. This is Eliana Lucas, Director of Campus Ministry and Theology at Archbishop Murphy High School up in Everett. Thank you so much for taking time with me.
Thank you, Brian.
Coming up, some personal stories from a student who has been learning the lesson of what it means to serve community. We'll get their take coming up next on The Fulcrum Point.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Ford, Superintendent for Catholic Schools in the Archdiocese of Seattle. We're excited to celebrate Catholic Schools Week, January 25th through the 31st. Catholic schools matter because they educate the mind, heart, and spirit. Our schools form students in faith, academics, service, and leadership, helping young people grow into compassionate, confident citizens rooted in gospel values. Join us as we celebrate the teachers, families, and students who make Catholic schools places of hope, joy, belonging, and purpose. Learn more about your local Catholic school at mycatholicschool.org.
Welcome back to The Fulcrum Point. I'm Brian Callanan, and I am with a senior from Archbishop Murphy High School in Everett. Ada Reckdahl is with me. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
So I know your senior project, this deal to organize a service project for other students, that's not happening till next semester. But I did want to talk about the service work that you have done over your past years here. What's that been like? What have you been doing?
Yeah, I know Miss Lucas talked about it earlier, but your service starts your freshman year, and it was definitely new to kind of have to work through this and figure out, okay, there's different requirements for where I can get my service hours done,
mm-hmm.
and when am I going to do them, because you have to do it on top of all the rest of the schoolwork.
Uh-huh.
So my freshman year, I was kind of just experimenting, like, where do I want to work? I worked a few times at the food bank.
Oh.
I ended up bringing my aunt and my mom along with me, so we were volunteering every week there together.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, made it a real, family affair.
All in the family. I love it. Yeah.
And then I worked a few different places after that, and then kind of found my footing at Seattle Children's. So that's where I've been now for my senior year. I volunteer there once a week, and it's really become one of the highlights of my week is going to volunteer there.
Wow. I have to think going in, it sounds like there's a little bit of trepidation, like how am I going to balance this? So it sounds like your attitude has definitely changed about this. This is something you've really learned from that's really valuable for you.
For sure. In the beginning, they kind of suggest that like service hours, you can get them done as early as you can
Sure.
so that you aren't rushing
Mm-hmm.
at the end. So kind of finding like that regular schedule to make sure that you get them done. Like I guess the goal of it is to get them done in time, but I think also it becomes a grounding to your week. You have something that you're looking forward to in the week and somewhere that you're going to be serving people and kind of bring you back. Some people might go to church on Sunday
Mm-hmm.
to like reground themselves.
Sure.
And I've used my service hours on Thursdays to be able to reground me back in this, like, this is what I want to do. I want to serve people.
Yeah, this is something that you're thinking about later in life, too. You shared with me that maybe it's a medical career you might be going into.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping right now.
Okay.
I had a family of firefighters that I was raised around, so I've been able to see a life of service for my whole life. My sister sister just became a firefighter, and I decided that I think fire's not the place for me.
Okay.
But I spend a lot of time with family members in the hospital and kind of being able to see how the doctors and the nurses dedicated their lives to service and, made my family not just feel like taken care of, but it felt like a sort of safety. So I kind of wanted to be able to replicate that with my life.
Oh, that sounds great. And it sounds like you're going down this path already, and I want to keep going. Just what you have learned from the work that you've been doing at Children's Hospital, how it's impacted you at doing these different service projects. What's that been like?
I keep on going back to the freshman year, like what I thought of it freshman year
Yeah.
versus now.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt freshman year like, what's the point of it? I feel like I'm such a small piece of the pie, and I feel like I can't do that much change just being one person. And I've almost had a complete, 180 switch. I think that being the small piece of the big pie is like the biggest piece of it. And it shows how we all have to do our own part in it to really make the change and to really be able to serve the people that need to be served. So now I look at it as being like so thankful to be able to have that small piece where I can make that change and just feel like I'm doing something good.
Yeah. And let me know what it's like, because you're dealing with these different people who are definitely in need in the hospital, younger people in the hospital. That's always a difficult thing to wrestle with there. What impact did you see on the people that you were serving?
It is hard to deal with young people, and that's a place where I've been able to be grounded in my faith. In some of those really hard moments, I'm able to lean on my faith and kind of be like, someone else has their back other than just me. I work in the emergency department.
Oh, wow.
So I go around on the patients that might have just came into the emergency department, they're in the lobby, or maybe they're in one of the triage rooms. It's like the shock place where they just got to the hospital and it's something completely new. So what I get to go in is, maybe bring them a new toy or bring them a coloring page, bring the parents a cup of coffee. And I've been able to see how just that small impact can completely change how scary the hospital might be when they first get there.
Yeah.
And just kind of bring that extra support. I'm not going to be offering any medical support right now, but this felt like this was the small part that I could contribute right now. I could be a smile or a joke in their day.
Yeah, everybody needs that. And you've probably seen some young kids and their families who are really scared, or how would you describe it when they're coming in there? That sounds a little chaotic.
For sure. I think a lot of it is like the shock. None of us ever think we're going to be there, and
Right.
then when you realize, oh, like I'm the person in this spot now. So I think especially for the little ones, I think that's a big part of it. They're kind of shocked that like, oh, maybe I've heard about this or I've seen this, but now I'm the patient right now. We have lots of coloring pages
Okay.
that have a nurse on it or a doctor and being like, it's okay. It doesn't have to be something that's so scary.
Right.
We're going to take care of you.
Yeah, that's so important. I do want to talk about where you're headed with your senior project coming up here after 3+ years of learning about service and why it's important. What are you looking forward to in that senior project? Talk to me about that.
I'm really excited for my senior project. It's really such a gift to be able to spend that time weekly in the hospital because I feel like I've been able to see parts of the hospital that I might not have seen if I was just, reading an article or making a phone call saying, hey, what do you need? I've been able to experience like, oh, these are some of the places that we need a few extra toys that aren't stuffed animals. Because like with stuffed animals, the patient will get the stuffed animal and that can't be sanitized. So they have to take that home. So sometimes we're, lacking on extra stuffed animals.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, which kind of feels, a very trivial thing that, oh, we don't have enough stuffed animals. But it's like that stuffed animal, I think, makes a big difference for the little ones. Yeah.
I had a tough time giving mine up last year.
Right?
Let me tell you, that's an important thing to have by the bedside there. It just sounds like you're really working on something maybe senior year to continue the work that you've been doing at Children's Hospital, or where do you see yourself with that project?
Yeah, I think just kind of seeing like what is it that they need right now? Where can I best feel like I made a difference and I added something? So I'm not sure what my senior project's going to look like just yet, but I think that with the work I'm doing at Children's already, I'll be able to continue to see where can I best make a difference and help where they need it.
Got it. There's another point I want to bring up with you here, Ada, if I could. There's so much pressure on students these days to learn all kinds of skills. I'm talking about trying to understand some constantly changing technology that's out there, finding new ways to communicate. I almost feel like learning how to serve others might get lost in the shuffle sometimes. As we start to wrap up here, why do you think it's important for students to do this kind of service work, to learn how to serve?
I think that one of the biggest things is that, like I talked about before, in my busy week, I look forward to my service to ground me back into what am I here for? And I think that with the changing world of so many new technologies and a constant flood of new information and new ideas and, controversy everywhere, service is something good and it's something constant and it's something that we all have in common. We all need service and we all want to serve others. And I think that it's just something that can really ground people in that busy world.
Yeah. I know you take many other classes out there, but it sounds like you're learning quite a bit from this project as well in terms of how you're growing up as a young person right now.
I think so. I think Archbishop Murphy cares about what we're doing outside of school too. And I think having that service requirement shows that they care what we do when we leave Archbishop Murphy, and they care even what we do when we go home, that we are still being Christ-like leaders and trying to make a difference and a good difference.
Just one last piece. I wanted to make sure I asked you this. Let's say you were talking to the incoming class of Archbishop Murphy freshmen that are coming in next year, and they're thinking, oh, no, I got to do a service project. What would you say to them?
I would probably say to them, I've been there too, and I did the same eye roll that you did. But I think that even if you don't realize it just yet, you're going to realize how important it is and how important it is to serve our community.
I hear you loud and clear. This is Ada Reckdahl, a senior from Archbishop Murphy High School in Everett. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you, Brian.
And thanks to everybody listening to The Fulcrum Point, which is all about the impact of Catholic education all across Western Washington. Please download this podcast, share it with your friends, and make sure you subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen. This show is brought to you by the Fulcrum Foundation, and if you would like to learn more about the organization, check out fulcrumfoundation.org. I'm Brian Callanan. It has been my pleasure to listen with you and learn. See you next time.